I was 37,000 feet above Pakistan when my satellite phone buzzed. We were in classified airspace, no signals allowed, no personal calls. I answered anyway. Mr. Bishop, this is Dr. Lanning from Emergency Services. Your son is here. He suffered a broken arm and partial thickness burns. There was a pause on the line. He says your wife's new husband did this to him, after he refused to call him Dad. Then I heard it. My son's cries. Muffled. Bruised. The call abruptly disconnected. The cockpit door swung open without a knock. My co-pilot stood there. He'd heard enough. Your mission is scrubbed, he said flatly. He tossed a black duffel bag onto the floor. The Stealth Hawk is yours. No red tape. I didn't speak. I just nodded and strapped in. The war was no longer across oceans. It had come home. By the time I landed, my mind had already stripped itself clean. No emotion. Just cold, tactical procedure. I'd seen burns like that before, in villages set on fire by men who smiled while striking the match. But this wasn't a war zone. This was my son's skin. I reached the R just as the sun broke the horizon. A nurse led me in without a word. She looked at me like she already knew. Everyone did. He was asleep, his arm in a cast, his burns wrapped, his lips swollen. I waited until the doctor stepped out, then leaned in and whispered, "Tell me the truth." He didn't flinch, just handed me a clipboard and said, "He begged us not to call your wife." I signed the discharge papers and walked out with my son in my arms. He didn't ask any questions, just clung to my sleeve tighter than ever. At the apartment, she was waiting, smiling like she still had the right to. "I didn't know they'd call you," she began. I didn't respond. She opened her mouth again, but went still when I turned to face her, fully. "Where is he?" She blinked. "What do you mean?" "Your husband. Where is he?" She didn't answer. Her silence was all I needed. I didn't make a scene. That's what she would have expected. Instead, I took my son to the guest room, made him some toast, sat beside him as he drifted into sleep. Then I got to work. Phone records, iCloud backups, emergency call logs, deleted photos. They never really vanish. The night it happened, 2 missed calls to 911 from my son's phone, both unanswered. The next morning, a text from her to her husband. He won't listen. He still calls Alex his real dad. I'm done begging. The bruises weren't an accident. They were a message. And that message? It was meant for me. Over the next 2 days, I mapped everything: patterns, GPS data, social media check-ins. Brent Holloway, the man she married, wasn't just abusive. He was meticulous. The kind who wore charm like a fitted suit. But people like him always slip. One photo, one timestamp, a liquor store security camera, a pharmacy receipt, 30 miles from their home, timestamped the exact hour my son had been screaming into a dead phone line. He wasn't even home. She had lied. She let it happen. And then she lied again. I waited until Saturday. Dropped my son off at his aunt's place. Returned to the apartment, alone. She was there. Dressed up, expectant. Like it was date night. "You're early," she said with a smile. I didn't answer. Just placed a folder on the kitchen table. Inside were photos, transcripts, GPS logs, screenshots of every message. Every betrayal, pinned down in black and white. She flipped through it slowly. The color drained from her face with each turn of the page. I didn't flinch. Didn't speak. Just watched. "You didn't hit him," I said quietly. "You let someone else do it." She opened her mouth, then shut it. A tear rolled down her cheek, an expression that almost resembled remorse. Then I handed her a second envelope. Legal documents. Full custody. Restraining order. Cease and desist. Filed. Stamped. Approved. I had been busy. Her hands trembled as she read. Mascara ran as she looked up at me. "You can't take him," she whispered. "He's already gone." She lunged forward, hysterical now. "You can't just erase me." I tilted my head. "You did that yourself." Then I turned, opened the front door, and left it wide open. Not for her. For the silence. Let it fill the space I used to occupy. That night, I sat beside my son while he slept, his bandages still fresh, but his breathing steady. Peaceful. I didn't feel triumph. Just stillness. Like something hollow had finally settled. This war didn't need bullets or screaming. It needed precision. It needed silence. Truth laid bare like a surgical incision. Let her rot in the wreckage of the story she wrote. I had my own now, and it no longer included her. Some men carry scars on their backs. Others carry them in silence. Mine? They smile back at me through my son's healing skin. And the silence where her voice used to be